First of all, before I make my point, I want to say I'm not a fan of Trump.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear before I start.
You don't have to, but I understand why you want to.
Okay. So you're asking why people aren't making up a big fuss about him going back in the White House?
Well, why they don't care?
They don't care, my mate. I'll tell you, because they've got their own problems. Now you're making some very strong points morally, and I agree with you actually. But the point is, right now, he's the best man for the job. I know, I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm not saying he's got a good character or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. But practically, he'll speak to Putin, hopefully sort this business out in Ukraine. And as you say, people are worried about food. They are worried about the price of petrol. They are worried about the bill.
But why? I mean, let's take Putin into it then. You're talking about people who admire the attributes that Putin has. This is what I mean about Western values, sacred and inviolate, I thought, values. And I appreciate, I'm happy to sound naive. I think it's important to sound naive sometimes. We're not supposed to like dictators. I'm not talking about the next election. The election is just one. I'm talking about the knowledge that he tried to steal the last one by encouraging Americans to kill Americans.
Yep.
How can you not care enough about that? I don't care how invested you are in the war in Ukraine. The man that seeks to lead the country encouraged Americans to kill Americans so that he could steal an election.
Right. And I'm not saying at any point he's a good person.
No, I know you're not.
The point is, right, I know you're clever, right, and I like your show, but James, you're not a politician. You're very good on the radio, my old mate. And, you know,
this doesn't mean anything. I'll ask you the question again. Why do people not care about a man who encouraged Americans to kill Americans trying to steal an election from the Americans?
Because he's the best man for the job.
But that doesn't mean anything.
It does, though. It does to them. It might not to you, and I know you're educated and clever. It might not to you.
Keep saying this stuff, because, I mean, it might not to you either, because you've said yourself that you're not a fan of Donald Trump. So you're speculating about a constituency of people that includes some of the richest people in America.
Yeah. So
because he appeals to the poor. You haven't answered my question. He's the best man for the job. Was Hitler the best man for the job?
Well, no, but he was the only man for the job. I mean,
Hitler was the best man for the job, mate. That's what people thought in 1930s Germany.
And they were wrong. But I'm not saying that. And they were wrong, weren't they? And people are probably very. But the problem is, right now, you've got Biden, who, God bless him, isn't competent, is he?
Biden's wasn't even in the election battle. So you are saying the same thing that people would have said in 1930s Germany. You're just not quite ready to admit it yet.
No, you can't compare him to Hitler.
Of course I can. He tried to get Americans to kill Americans to steal an election from Americans. He mounted a violent assault on democracy itself. Who would you compare him to?
Well, I couldn't compare him to Hitler because you've gone too far. Because Hitler was one of the most evil people who's ever lived. He killed, what was it, 6 million Jews?
Not in the 1930s.
With 1939, when the Second World War started.
Compare him to 1936 Hitler. Compare him to 1935. I mean, what is it? You steal elections and you encourage Americans to kill Americans so that you can stay in power after you've been voted out. But he's the best man. He's the best man for the job. In a way, I don't think you're wrong. I'm just struck that you're reluctant to follow your own logic all the way to all the other hideous dictators in the recent past, or even in the distant past, who were considered to be the best man for the job. Did any of them ever turn out to be, Lewis? Can you think of any violent dictators who did turn out to be good for the country that they ran?
Well, no, but you haven't got. The thing is,
okay. No, it's all right. At least you're honest. But everyone thought they were the best men for the job as well. I don't know where the penny drops. I don't know where the scales fall from the eyes.